Hello students, it's Mr. Heebner, and I'm going to take the Let's Be Rational practice test. If you haven't taken the practice test yet, then stop watching this video and go take it. This first question asks us to find how much this person who wants to advertise bought altogether. They bought a certain amount of 1/4 page ads, of 1/20th page ads, and of 1/5 page ads. Well, how many 1/4 page ads did they buy? They bought 3. So that's 3/4 of a page. And they bought 2/20ths of a page. And they bought 5/5 of a page. I'm just going to write that as 1. And we need to add these up. We need to find common denominators. I'm going to use 20. I'm just going to leave the 1 as a 1 though. Just don't forget about it. All right, the 2/20ths is going to stay as 2/20ths times 5/5. That's going to be 15. I've got 17/20ths plus 1 equals 1 and 17/20th pages. And that is the answer to the first problem. Let's move on. All right, the Comfy Couch Furniture Store purchased this many pages to advertise upcoming sales. When the store didn't receive a shipment as planned, the sale was canceled. This is how much they canceled. How many pages did the paper print in the end? So they started with this amount. They canceled this amount. In other words, they took away this amount. You should have identified this as a subtraction problem. 2.5 minus 1 and 1. Oh, there we go. Let's do a redo on that. 1 and 1/10 equals what? Well, we need to find common denominators. And we'll use 10. So 2 and 5/10 minus 1 and 1/10 equals 1 and 4/10 pages. Oh, no, just kidding, because we want to simplify this. And we'll write it as 1 and 2/5 pages. Let's keep going. Okay, this is a harder problem, and I noticed that a lot of students had a hard time identifying what operation they need to do on these problems. And I think part of the problem is that there aren't really keywords or phrases that we can use. We can't always rely on that. There isn't really a single word that tells us that what kind of problem this is. So what I like to do is draw a visual, or just think about a visual in my head is typically what I do. We have this much ribbon. So let's say it's this amount. This is all of the ribbon that we have. We have this beautiful pink ribbon. And we want to know how many 1/2 meter bows we can make. Because 1/2 of a meter, or we don't know how long the bows are, but it takes this much ribbon to make one bow. Okay, so what we're doing is we're taking this quantity of ribbon, and we're going to see how many bows we can make from it. We're taking this amount and we're dividing it up into 1/2 pieces to see how many bows we can make. So if we look at it like this, it's obvious that this is a division problem. We're not taking this and simply subtracting a piece from it. We're not taking this and making more of it. We're not multiplying it. We're taking a certain amount and we're dividing it up into 1/2 pieces. So we're going to do 5 and 1/4 divided by 1/2. And we're going to use keep, change, flip. But first we need to turn this into an improper fraction. 4 times 5 plus 1, 21/4. And I'm just going to keep, change, flip right now. I'm going to change division to multiplication. and I'm going to flip the 1 over 2 to 2 over 1. This is the most common mistake that students make. They forget to flip. 21 times 2 is 42, and 4 times 1 is 4. How many times does 4 go into 42? Well, 4 times 10 is 40. 4 times 11 is 44, so that would be too many times, right? So it goes in 10 and then 40. So 42 minus 40 would be 2. So I have 2/4 left. So I have 10 and 2/4 ribbons, or 10 and 1/2 ribbons. Oh wait, sorry, bows. I'm going to cheat and use the back button. 10.5 bows is how many I could make. You might actually say that it's just 10 bows with some remaining, but this is just fine. All right, next problem. Sammy's mother bought 2 1/3 pounds of blueberries. Sammy ate 1/5, that's so Sammy, of the blueberries before he went to bed. Okay, so he ate 1/5 of the blueberries. This is a case where there is a keyword that tells us the operation. But I do want to note that the word of does not mean multiplication every single time. But if you have a fraction and you're trying to find a fraction of another fraction, I could have written this as 1/5 of 2 1/3, but we're going to get the same answer. It's always multiplication. So if it's a fraction of a fraction, it's going to be multiplication. And I'm going to flip these because I'm pretty sure that most of you did it this way. Okay, let's figure this out over here. We're going to multiply these. We need to turn this into an improper fraction. So we're going to do 1/5 times 7/3. 3 times 2 plus 1 over 3. And I got 7/15 pounds for A. Now it wants to know how many were left. Well, Sammy ate this many pounds. That's a lot of pounds of blueberries. Sammy ate an enormous amount of blueberries. Now it's a subtraction problem. But don't subtract the 1/5. This is how much she ate. This is not pounds. This was just a fraction of a fraction. So Sammy's mom starts with this amount. Sammy eats this amount. And we want to know how much is left. We need common denominators here. Let's use 15ths. So 2 and multiply by 5 over 5 is going to give us 5/15 minus 7/15. And we have a problem here. This is one of those annoying problems because 5 minus 7 will give us a negative number. So there's 2 ways of doing this. The first way is to borrow 15/15 from this 2. Okay. I cross out the 2. Sorry about that noise. I assume you can hear that. I cross out the 2. I'm going to make it a 1. And I'm going to add 15/15 because 1 is 15/15. Basically, you cross out the whole number, drop it by 1, and then add the denominator to the numerator. If you don't like this, don't worry. I'm going to show you another way. And now we can just subtract. 1 minus 0 is just 1. And then I'm going to do this in black, actually. 1 minus 0 is just 1. And then 20 minus 7 is 13/15. And we could just say that this many pounds were left. I'm going to show you another way, which is to turn this into an improper fraction. And let's do that. Let's do that in blue. I should have been doing the whole thing in like a blueberry blue. But that's okay. We'll do this last part in the blueberry blue. Okay, so here's how we turn this into an improper fraction. 15 times 2 is is 30, plus 5 is 35. So we could write 2 and 5/15 is 35/15, and then subtract the 7/15, and we're going to get a lot of 15ths here. Let's just do the subtraction on the side. I got 28/15, and that is going to be 1 and 13/15. Look at that, we got the same answer. All right, so pick your method and use it tomorrow. Let's go on to the next problem. All right, these are the last problems. This is sort of the algebra part of the test. We need to figure out what this missing number is. And the first thing I like to do is rewrite it with common denominators. So I'm going to write n minus 2/8 equals 3/8. And right away, you might realize what the answer is. If not, you could rewrite it again as some number of eighths minus 2/8 equals 3/8. And really, we're just trying to find a missing number right up here, because we know our answer is going to be in eighths. And you probably can see that it's 5. But if not, you could rewrite this as 2/8 plus 3/8 equals 5/8, because the first fraction in a subtraction problem becomes the sum in the addition problem. Probably remember this being written on the board kind of like that. Okay, there's a few ways of thinking about this. Whatever way you think works for your brain is just fine. 1/2 plus n equals 1 1/4. Let's turn these into fractions with common denominators, and let's turn this into an improper fraction. Let's write it as 2/5 plus n equals 5/4. And again, you might be able to tell what the answer is at this point, which is completely fine. If not, you can rewrite it as 2/4 plus some amount of fourths equals 5/4. If you still can't see it, then you can just take this, the sum, and make it the first number in the subtraction, 5/4 minus, and any of these two numbers, although if we put this fraction first, then our missing fourths quantity will be at the end. 5 minus 2 is 3. And there's your n value. This one isn't really an algebra problem, it just kind of looks like it. I like to write my fraction, my whole numbers over 1, and then we'll just keep change flip. And I got 15. And that's the final answer for the practice test. I hope you enjoyed this and found this helpful. If you have any feedback, feel free to let me know in class. Good luck on the test.